One key aspect of this project for us in promoting and demonstrating the performance of the material is versatility. Out of a single set of materials have come 5 very different designs. And the teams at OK Studio here have risen to that challenge extremely well. And I think we've all learnt more about the versatility of this timber as a result.
A project with 5 designers can go almost in any direction. So I was fascinated by the potential. Following on from our workshop in February, the designers went away, worked on their drawings, worked on what we can and can't do. Working out how you can give them what they want is the interesting bit.
When we got the brief, we were quite excited because it was such an open brief, but it was nice to have the materials set and the 5 species. So what we wanted to do was actually to use all of them. We did some research and we found that glass was really good because it could highlight the grains and the textures of the wood, but also give it another dimension and give it some more colour as well.
Also incorporating the stains, to try and bring out more, well, not life in the wood, but to try and kind of get a bigger variation in the pieces.
The name comes from the tip of the cone, which is called the apex, and that's where it meets the glass, and I really wanted to make that point of contact as minimal as possible.
Traditionally, the wood is what holds up the glass. It's got structural properties, it's natural to use in this way, but we wanted to try and reverse this role and highlight the beauty of the wood and create a structure that supports it in glass. It's a more kind of sculptural piece in a way.
For this project I had the intention of creating different visual effects using light and shadow. Tulip wood was a good choice because it allows to machine the wood to different thicknesses. I thought that the nature of this grain or the richness of this grain would strengthen this idea of contrasts along the object. I had only worked or seen scale models, so it's a very different experience when you look at the object and how the grain of the wood, what it brings to the aesthetic of the object, and the effects that we were aiming for, this light and shadow contrast, worked very well with the craft of Adam Kershaw and also with the properties of the wood.
I have worked with wood for a long time. Wood, it's a warm material, it's easy to work with. That was the reason for me why I wanted to work on something different than furniture this time, becoming more delicate and more detail-oriented in terms of doing smaller objects. So initially I started just doing utensils, and then I just broadened the field to whatever is traditionally made of timber in the kitchen. And I added a chopping board, a pestle and mortar, and that's where this term runcible explains the thing a little bit. It is a spoon, and you recognize it as a spoon, but it's not a particular, there's plenty ways of defining a cooking spoon or like a utensil, and I just wanted to do things that leave it up to you how to use them. Wondered which is the best material for it. And then hard maple came into play, which is traditionally used for these purposes. When you have a block of timber and you machine it, you never know what's inside. Even though you kind of know what kind of pattern the grain will give you, there's always surprises within the material. And I think some of the pieces came out really nice, and each piece is always different.
Well, fundamentally, the design's made up of 3 stools and a table, and they're sort of almost extruded pentagons in appearance. The reason I did this was so that the 5 sides of a pentagon, I could apply the 5 different species of American hardwood, and then in that way really show off all their different personalities. I wanted each of the pentagons to have a different angle board on each side of each face. So I started off with a vertical alignment, and as I went round the pentagon, I angled the boards by 22.5 degrees, so it ends up on the other side, the final side, on a horizontal panel. So each side's different, and then when they stack, they all line up, but as you twist them, you get all these different variations in angle of board, which creates this geometric patchwork. I just loved all the species really, and I think I was just focusing on the graphical element of that colour and grain variation.
Well, one of our, I guess, our original concepts was to make, because it was outside in the beginning, was about possibly making a wind mobile, and like, you know, something that kind of naturally moved with the wind.
That was Andrew's first idea when he came to my house.
Yes. And then I think, well, Peter came up with the idea of, you know, letting them balance and move, so it just kind of gave it a little bit more life rather than being a solid wall.
We just make sure that it was like an adjustable system. So, and also we thought it'd be nice if there was tulip on one side and red oak on the other side, so you've got the lightest of the woods next to a small dense block of the heavier wood. Because they're long, it means that you can orientate the triangles in different directions without it tipping over, so the red oak hangs down so it keeps it in one vertical position.
Well, I think 5 as an exhibition is a really nice concept. The pieces are great, and I think that universally there'll be interest in the material and how it's been interpreted for this exhibition. For us at Clerkenwell Design Week, and as a generator of ideas and as a commissioner of design, working as we have been lucky enough to do with American Hardwood, we'd love to see it travel. We'd love to see these pieces being really great indicators of the quality of London design and how we work collectively as a design commissioning team.